I think we are good to go. I think we can get started. Folks, more people are joining by the minute, but let's get started. So thank you for all, being here on Saturday morning, and a lot of familiar faces, some new faces. Thanks for all of you. I'll probably introduce the club a little bit so that you know what we actually do. So we are AppliedAI Club. So we are an open community for mostly for builders and operators to learn and work with AI. And our philosophy is to try to demystify some of these things we see around AI and reduce the FOMO essentially. The reason why we do this is because we started a similar place about a year ago, and we're just trying to pay it forward. So it's been almost a year. So we started the first session on Feb 28th last year. So I'm so glad that we are still continuing. We do two main things in this community. Number one is that we do these weekly sessions. So these weekly sessions happen almost every Saturday at 10 a.m. where either one of us or get an external expert to come and teach us a specific concept around AI, right? So all these sessions are free, all these sessions are recorded, and everything is put up on YouTube. You can see our past sessions, etc. So that's something we do. The second thing that we do is we run this thing called study groups. So study groups is a self-learning kind of a way where you can pick up a particular topic on AI and you can build a project by yourself, right? So a lot of self-learning kind of just provide the structure. So that's something we do. We've done a few study groups so far, and we've taken a long break, but now with the help of some volunteers, we're going to start a few of them again. The third is we have a WhatsApp group. We have close to 500 people over there. Very high signal to noise ratio is how I would like to think about it. We don't talk about any of the other things, but mostly focus on important AI news and challenges. So anything that you need, if you actually want to be part of it, you can join that also. I'll put the link for the site, etc. So if you want to join any of these later, you can always join the club. Right. So that's a bit about the club. Today's session, it's going to be run by me and Vignesh. So Vignesh is a colleague at a place that I actually work at as a consultant. So it's called Popular Digital AI. Vignesh handles product and growth over there. And Vignesh and I have been, and he's also part of the club. Vignesh and I have been talking about a lot of things, and one of the topics ended up to be OpenClaw. Sorry, there are so many changes. Yeah, so many name changes. It's difficult to kind of land on one. But yeah, so OpenClaw, it's a very interesting space. There are like very highly divisive kind of like a topic. People who say it's a complete nightmare, and there are people who say it is the future. So this session is, the objective of this session is, obviously we're going to give you a complete demo of how to set it up and how to actually run with it and how to use it for your daily workflows, right? So that's going to be part of the session. But the more than half of the session will actually focus on how is it different from all the other things that you're going to use? How does it, is it the future or not? How is that going to change things when we see how AI is evolving? And how do you think about using it in a secure manner? So those are the things that we are actually going to focus on in this particular session. Okay. Yeah. So we will also have a 10-minute Q&A at the end of the session. So we can also extend it by a few minutes. And if there are any questions, we'll take them. But if there is anything urgent, just feel free to do a hand raise, and we'll call you. Awesome. I think we can get started. So Vignesh, probably introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi folks, I'm Vignesh. I'm working as a product and growth in a AI-based startup in Bangalore. Previously, I was running my own startup for past 3 years from my second year of my UG. And then a good offer came in, so I just sold it away. Now, for past 8 months, I think so, I was working as a product and growth specialist. I met Bala in November actually, so he joined our organization. Then we used to have a lot of conversations related to AI, what's happening here and there, around the globe. Then this week, while we are discussing, and we saw the group also, someone asked for OpenClaw sessions that we can. So we thought of why can't we do it, and kind of a setup. We'll run you through the complete setup, how we can able to set up OpenClaw in a EC2 instance, and how we can able to integrate that into your Telegram, so you can just make it as your personal assistant. You can do with two to three use cases. I'll try to show today what is the capability of it. Yeah, so that's about me, and fine. Can we start?
Yeah. Thanks, Vignesh. So I'll probably set some and we'll get into the demo in a second.
Sure.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, my laptop has a way of disconnecting the screen share from time to time. So if that happens, do let me know. But yeah, I wanted to set some context on like what is OpenClaw. Can you guys give a thumbs up if you have used OpenClaw? Like already installed, used, etc. Okay, one. Okay, a bunch of you. Okay, no also. And I'm sure most of you haven't. All right, perfect. So no worries. We'll start from like the basics, give you an understanding. It shouldn't take so much time. Okay. So what is OpenClaw? So OpenClaw, it just became famous overnight. So there is a very famous developer called Peter Steinberger, so who built OpenClaw. He's a developer. He's built a lot of open source projects in the past. And one of his latest projects, he launched it as ClaudeBot, which became like kind of like an overnight sensation, where people started deploying it everywhere in their special instance. So there is even a shortage of Mac Mini that actually happened because people wanted to deploy so much of this particular program and run it for themselves, right? So it just in under 2 weeks it got about like close to 200K. Now I think it's over 200K GitHub stars. Now the product, the open source product, has been funded as part of separate OpenAI Foundation, and the guy has actually joined OpenAI full time, leading the consumer agents vertical. So I don't know what that actually means within OpenAI, but yeah, it's become a massive thing, right? The idea, so the two things. Number one is, why do people actually use it? It works in a very, very different way compared to your existing AI. It feels like you're chatting with like a colleague who just automatically does all the job that you actually want to do. And there are some crazy workflows that you will be able to see on the web, the Twitter, on YouTube, etc. Right? Now, at the same time, it's an extremely extremely high security risk product. That means there is probably a one-click exploit that's already available, and they've been continuously fixing it. But it's extremely dangerous. It's well known for disclosing your personal details, your API keys, etc., etc. So the security aspect of it shows that this product is still not ready for the market, right? So that's a little bit of background. Now, the main takeaway for this particular session is I want to at least give you a framework to think about how is OpenClaw different from like all the the Claude Code you're using, or like the ChatGPT you're using, or anything else actually. How is it different? Like why does it actually make sense? People actually like to use it, etc. Right? Now, if you want to think about it, there are 4 ways to think about it. Okay, so the first one, what we all started with, which doesn't exist anymore unless you directly use the APIs, is something called assistants. Assistants, think of like the original ChatGPT, where you have a chat window. You open the chat window, you type something, and it gives you a response based on its internal knowledge. So that's what we all started with. There were no tool use or anything. It can't make any changes. You ask a question, it actually answers. Even today, a lot of our work, at least 20-30% of our work actually happens where AI just simply gives you a response to the queries that you're actually asking. Okay, so that is what we started with in this industry, which is called assistants. From assistants, we went to agents. Agents is basically an assistant which can use a tool. For example, now you would have tried to make, let's say, PPT using Gamma or even Claude right now, or Gemini, etc. Right? So that is basically an ALLM trying to use a tool to make something. Okay, so all the CRM, like all your SaaS platforms, you have launched their own AI. This is all part of it, where you take the core LLM, you give it access to some, how to use MCP servers or API calls or like tools or whatever. It uses those capabilities and it actually takes an action. So LL assistant plus action, it basically gives you agents, right? So this is what you do currently in all sorts of your Claude or ChatGPT, Windows, Gemini, Windows, etc. Because internally it uses a tool called search, even for normal query, right? For you to get more information, right? If there is anything that is here, just feel free to pause because this becomes an important topic. Okay. Now that is what we call agents. From agents, we evolved recently I think it started about a year ago, but for muggles like us, it started appearing over like last 4 or 5 months. It is the co-work agents, right? So how most of us work, and some of us have kind of like moved on, is the fact that think of AI as let's say a super junior engineer, and let's say you are building a product, or let's say you are building a content engine. What you do is you keep giving AI instructions, and AI kind of keeps editing. You edit and you say, hey, correct this, correct that, correct, etc., etc. To be frank, this entire PPT I created in the same manner, where the AI created the PPT. I said, hey, this section is not right, doesn't convey this, there is too much spacing here. So you just kind of keep giving instructions and keeps editing it, right? So there is a normal way of actually doing this, which is what the agents mechanism actually does. Now, move that to a little bit more authority to AI. The whole perspective is, let's say, a product manager and an engineer. Okay, so product manager engineer is, as a product manager, you set, or a founder, you basically set objective on what needs to be achieved. Okay, and you kind of detail it out, like spec it out. You give the instructions to your engineer, and you go away. You don't like monitor like on a daily basis, right? So the engineer does all the job. It comes back to you. You simply review the work. Okay. So this is a concept we are calling co-work agents, which made this entire Claude code thing very like extremely famous. And if you guys have used things like Cursor or Anti-Gravity, etc., there is also an agent mode within those platforms, which does this. That means you don't look at every single thing it is doing and keep giving instructions. You basically do a hands-off approach where you give an objective and details on how it needs to be done. Okay, according to like you. The AI finishes the output, finishes the task, comes back to you with the output. You simply review the output and then you deploy. Right? So this could be either for writing content or like building a product or whatever, which is what like the current Claude code has actually enabled, and it's kind of like blowing people's mind away, where people are saying, hey, you're able to build the product overnight. It runs all night, and I don't write a single line of code. So everybody from OpenAI and Anthropic, all the new models are being built completely by AI. So that is this mechanism, okay, where you give objective and a very detailed instruction set on what is done, and you review the output. So that is where this co-work agents actually come in. This is the phase we are in today. Now the phase which your OpenClaw has actually enabled is something like an autonomous PM. Okay. Now, from a PM or from a founder to an employee, or a PM to an engineer, kind of like a relationship, decouple this. Think that you are, let's say, let's say a salesperson. You have a separate product team. You don't give instructions to the product team on how do you go about solving a particular problem, what is my objective, etc. You simply say, hey, I want this problem to be solved. I want this feature to be built. I want this marketing campaign to run. And you expect that person to operate completely independently, right? How does he work completely independently? Because he has his own personality. The person has, she has her own skills. Like she knows she has her own perspective of how this problem needs to be solved. She has a capability of doing the research itself. It's like an independent peer. You don't instruct and question or monitor the peer. You simply give an objective and you go on. The peer does all the jobs by herself. Okay. Now that is what is enabled by OpenClaw. Okay. Hope I'm making this clear. If it is not clear, let me know. I'm happy to run through it again. This is an important concept. Perfect. So yeah, just kind of reiterating it. The first is like a dumb assistant. You ask a question, the assistant basically responds. Think of it as the brain in a jar. Second is brain plus hands. That means not only give instruction, I can not only ask it to give me, help me with something, but I have to do the task by itself. That is brain plus hands. Then you have kind of like an autonomous thing where I don't have to monitor the entire work, but I can just give what does good work look like, proper instructions, etc., which is co-work agents. And right now we are in the autonomous peer age. So this is what your OpenClaw is actually unlocking. That is why it's so brilliant, because the way you converse with it is also like we will see in the demo. Just like a peer, you basically give an instruction. It doesn't ask you for opinions or outputs or whatever. It kind of takes decisions on its own and gives you a very, very high quality output because of the agency that is actually built in over there, right? Yeah, that's what makes like OpenClaw very, very beautiful. Now, how does it work? So very simple. So this is an open source project, and it's not an LLM of its own. It's not like an AI of its own. So what it does is it uses LLM internally, right? You can connect with OpenAI or Gemini or Claude or some of the other open source models. It could be anything, right? So you host it on your own hardware. It could be on your local laptop or in some server in the cloud, etc. The best part is, in technical terms, you call this a harness. So harness is basically like you have an underlying LLM, which is basically your, like the brain, right? And how you interact with the brain, either via a chat window, or if you're using Claude Code, it's a terminal window, or if you are using Gamma, it is like in a browser. So these are all what we call harnesses. Harnesses basically, you can think of it as you have the brain. How do you interact with the brain is through the body, right? So you can think of OpenClaw as a harness. So basically it uses LLM brain. What it does is it gives you a lot of predefined tools. So those tools are basically your channels. So you can directly connect WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, message, emails. You can do all of these things, right? And it has a very nice architecture for memory. More than your LLM memories, etc. If you're already surprised by it, this is actually quite insane. Their memory architecture is quite beautiful, and that makes the that makes the responses, the contextual understanding, and how it works on a particular solution is a lot more interesting. And they have given a few things like soul of the the AI itself. So soul is basically your personality, right? So you can define the personality of the AI. So those are things which actually makes it a little bit more like a human-like, where it can take a lot of decisions by itself and it can actually do things by itself without asking for your opinion. It is not at the mercy of you or trying to serve you. It is like an independent peer whom you can actually work with. So that's kind of how this whole thing actually works. Now, the last thing they've made something very intuitive is basically, if you work with any LLMs, it's basically you give a request and you get a response. It's always that way, right? It waits for you to initiate a conversation for anything. Okay. But the way they have actually made OpenClaw is that you can either give an instruction, say a request, and you can get a response. Or you can periodically set up this thing called cron, which is on a scheduled basis, it wakes up. If there are any instructions in the message, it actually performs that particular action. Or you can also trigger specific events which could be from somewhere else, right? So it wakes up like every 30 minutes. It automatically does what all the things that it is supposed to do, and automatically does those jobs by itself, which makes it a little bit more independent. Again, the analogy you should keep in mind is like a peer. You don't have to monitor. You're not a junior where you are monitoring and giving instructions and feeding and like kind of helping grow. It's like an independent peer who is an expert at his own level. All you're doing is just working with the person. That means you don't have to be available for that person to work. That person can actually work very, very independently. Okay. Now, so kind of getting a little bit deeper into this. So this is something we already spoke about. So your channels, the way you interact with this is obviously there is a chat platform, web UI that is available, but the idea is that you don't use it. You use the channel where you are already present, which is your WhatsApp or Telegram or Slack. It could be any of these things, right? People have figured out like really innovative ways of actually connecting with it. Then you have a gateway. So what they do is they have their own internal concepts of like what are sessions, how do I queue up instructions? Let's say you are sending like 10 messages from 10 different people. How do I spin up separate LLM instances for this? How do I put it in a queue so that I can take these instructions one by one, kind of like act on it? etc. So, and how do I store this memory internally? So these are things that they have actually solved really well in that particular harness. I'll probably talk about the memory a little bit. Can you mute, Rakesh? Yeah. So yeah, like it's a very complex diagram for memory, but like simple thing you should understand is every time you probably send an instruction, if it is important, they store it to something called long-term memory, which kind of like persists throughout. Then you have a daily log where every day's conversation gets stored, and they have their own internal concepts of sessions, which is like one session that you're having, which goes into session transcript. And these things kind of get stored into a database, like a vector database, where they pull relevant information and take action on it. This is one of the memory models that it's a very simplistic view, but this is one of the memory models that they have actually implemented, which makes it awesome. And the interesting thing for the technically oriented folks is they have not done a fancy database or anything for this. They have just written files, markdown files, right? Just like a normal markdown file they have created for each of these, and those files actually get updated. So it's not very, very complicated for us to imagine, but it also shows a interesting future that for software to work, we built a lot of infrastructure downstream, like in databases. How do you actually scale those? How do you store information? NoSQL, SQL, etc. So we did a lot of these things for efficient use of data stores by our software applications in the past. But a lot of those domains are being like undone by how AIs are actually operating. So I wouldn't be very surprised if that entire stack kind of like merges in the future and to make things like much, much simpler. So interesting side note. Okay, so let me go back to my original share. I'll just pause here. Are there any questions so far? Okay, I guess not. I'm hoping you guys are following.
Hi, Bala.
Yes.
As I'm a non-dev, I may be wrong, like my question might be completely nonsense, but just trying to understand from fundamentals, what exactly made this OpenClaw, I mean, like a very unique thing from a building perspective, not from its capability perspective, that, OpenAI or Gemini, the Zanes didn't do, but this OpenClaw did. What exactly went into the building? Is it the memory model that you have told just now?
Yeah, see, there is a combination of all three. So if you think about it, the thing from a engineering point of view, the unique thing is that one is memory, but memory comes second layer. The first layer is actually multiple channels. That means I don't have to open a window to do all of this. I'm on WhatsApp, emails, and other things, which is one thing that they did very well. I can just be on a channel like a Telegram channel, and I can start interacting with AI, which was interesting. The second thing they did is the number of tools I can connect to. Like, for example, you can easily connect to your Slack, your emails, your calendars. You can do all of this. They built a lot of these integrations, which actually made it very easy for people to kind of use it. So they have this thing called Agent AI, which I still have to go through it much deeper. So it's an interesting way to create dynamic integration. So let's say you want to connect to, let's say, Office email. It can dynamically spin up the connectivity to Office email, like that particular piece of code automatically. That's what I understand so far. I still have to double click and understand, but that's something they actually did very well. Plus the memory layer, which is layer 2, and third layer is like the always on principle. That means it is every half an hour it autonomously wakes up. If there is any instruction, it doesn't have to wait for your personal instruction, but it can take scheduled tasks, or it can see that whether customer is raising issues in your application, can read those things automatically and can perform. So a lot of these things got unblocked. The LLM capability is the same. It's just like the way the scaffolding, the harness they have built around it is very, very innovative. It is not like other people can't do it. It's still open source. A lot of people can actually do this. But the idea, the reason why OpenAI acquired them and at least hired the guy, is because he can think from a consumer insight point of view. It's not an R&D or a research project, but he has done a good consumer-based application, and that makes a lot of things.
So, but since it's an always on and it can take action, so is that the IP that they develop? Or is that not an IP?
It is open source. There is no IP in here.
No. My question is because it's an always on kind of thing they claim, and it takes actions on users behalf right away, right, without any instructions or without any prompts. So, and that action can be anything, anytime.
Yes.
So Is that the engine that was built, or that is already available as part of LLM?
So other people have tried a little bit. For example, if you remember, the OpenAI has a scheduled task option, which kind of on a schedule, it kind of like picks up and runs certain tasks. But this was waking up so it is a compounding effect. One is it wakes up every half an hour to kind of look at the queue. Like the way they manage the queue is also very different, very interesting. Then the concept that you can integrate with like probably hundreds of different tools, which can feed in these signals for the LLM to start working. So that is those two combined actually creates a lot of value. Yeah.
Hey, hi. I had a question. Slightly might be a little ahead or tangent, but with the OpenAI, I am not sure if I should call it acquisition or whichever way. By
you can say hire the guy. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. So, do you see everything which is happening in AI today, right from OpenAI to OpenClaw, everything started as a open source thing, but eventually it gets into the enterprise mode, and then there's tokens and billings and revenues, which eventually, yes, everything has to be revenue generating for it for innovation to come in. Do you see OpenClaw also going the same way, getting integrated within the OpenAI stack for enterprise solutions, and maybe customers like Microsoft and others can start offering it to large enterprise customers? Because see, the last bit which you talked about, where it comes as an assistant and as the real definition of agentic part is what enterprises need more than probably a consumer needs. However, I feel consumer space is where it might have far more wider and deeper impact. Do you think it's going in the same way? Sorry, clubbing in multiple questions in one.
Yeah. So I'll try to keep it short given the interest in time. We will cover more of this in the end. Like what does it actually look like? But I have a contrarian view. What we have seen is open source has actually exploded at a different level compared to before because of AI, which is a very interesting thing. So I think that is going to continue. Second is OpenClaw is open source. That's something I don't think they plan to make it closed source. It's funded by OpenAI's non-profit arm. The project has not been acquired, right? So which is an encouraging thing. Third is it's fairly similar, easier for other people to replicate, which I'm sure more and more people. There is already a Chinese guy who has actually built a competition for this at a much more efficient manner. Number 4 is that yes, every single lab is going to build it, but their approach is going to be different, and this has probably the most significant impact in jobs and like how enterprises use it, and mostly how enterprises use it, then consumers use it, right? So this is something we'll talk about towards the end. I hope I was able to answer some of it, right? But we'll talk about it in deeper. Okay, if there are no pressing questions, we'll probably jump into the demo. We're already at like 10:32. Vignesh, can you take over?
Yes. 1 second. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Not yet, Vignesh.
Now?
Yes.
Fine. So basically, I have created a new instance. Okay. A T3 micro, which is a free instance. I'm just going to run I'm going to set up the OpenClaw here. Okay. We'll connect to this particular instance first.
Yeah. While Vignesh is setting up for folks who have not deployed before, don't worry about this. You can deploy it in Google Cloud, or you have a separate older computer that you have on your home. You can do it there, or you can do it in any other server that you want to work with. We've already done one session on like deployments, etc. There is a video that is already available. So we'll also share a guide on this. Vignesh has built a beautiful guide on how to set this up. So this documentation will also be available. I'm able to see the screen. GP says he can't.
Yeah.
Can others see?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, GP just
Is
check.
it?
Visible, I can see it. But probably you might want to check it to increase the font. Do command plus plus or command plus plus.
Yeah, I'll do. Now, is it fine?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's good.
Yeah, it's better.
Fine. Sure. First, let me update the instance because this is a fresh instance. I'll just update this stuff. For some reasons, my control V is not working. I need to paste it using my mouse. Yeah. So while it's setting up, like I'll just need to say, like, folks, don't try this in your local laptop, please, because it has so many vulnerabilities of getting your data and stuff. Try to use it in any new computer or try to use it in any hosted instance for a better security and stuff. Yeah. Because typically, like all the commands that it is going to run, it's a shell-based thing. So we don't know like how secure it is. Sometimes, like even I was using it for more than 2 to 3 weeks, I guess, like 2 weeks almost. Without my consent, it has sent 3 mails from my just testing email ID I created. So there are some edge cases still there actually. Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing while this is setting up, what were those emails?
It's basically like I have what I was doing is like I was setting up a reminder email between my personal email and the test email I have created. So it thought I need to set some reminders and all with a pattern of whatever the inputs I have given for the reminders. It thought like the reminder need to send now, and it hallucinated a bit, and the emails have been triggered. Cool. It's now set. I'll just install Node. I'm going to set it up using Node, and there are other Python or something else you can able to do. Now for this, I'm taking Node. I'm just installing the Node here. Have anyone installed an EC2 before? This Plotbot or Modbot? Then now it's OpenClaw. 3 names actually. Yeah. So here, if you're going to use the hosted, I mean the free tier T3 micro, for installing, you just need to swap the memory, the 4 GB or 2 GB of RAM, so that the installation won't crash your server. Okay, it's working. Install OpenClaw. While it is getting installed, I'd like to share one thing actually. One second. Yeah, while it's installing, like folks, what is the use case that you guys want to try with this? Any particular thing that you guys have, or I'll just show some of the use cases I prepared for.
I think you can start showing some other ones you prepared for. If people come up with something else, you can use that too. Perfect.
Sure.
Yeah, there are some nice suggestions in the chat. Yeah, I think that's the ultimate test. Can we book an IRCTC? Yeah, I mean, while this is happening, I'll also talk a little bit about security, right? So we'll talk about security a little bit more. But the main thing is be very careful about like what access do you actually give to these. Even if you are using your API keys for LLMs, try to give like a separate API key. If there is possible, just set a limit to the key, etc. Because it's very, since it acts like a person, it's very creative in figuring out solutions to its problems, right? So like Vignesh mentioned, if you give access to email, then it definitely is going to try and figure out how to actually send emails. You give access to telegrams, then it's something else. See, having it on own device, right? So for example, if you install it on a local laptop, it can try and access the keychain. It will obviously prompt a password. Apple will prompt a password things to you. What if you think it's something else and type it? If you do it on browser, yeah, it's very, very unsafe. Because in your existing browser, always use it in a separate browser. This for not just for OpenClaw, but for any like your ChatGPT Atlas or Perplexity or other things. So I don't use any of those. those don't have any other sites I go to. Just open general research is what I actually use, because even if you add a an extension can access a lot of things that you do, right? There is a big market for scraping people's browsing data using extensions. That's why a lot of these extensions are actually free. So you should be very, very careful about using it anywhere close to anything that contains your personal data. Yeah, I can't stress this enough, and try to isolate it as much as possible. So if you guys want to simply like try it out, so Google Cloud gives you $300 for 3 months. Servers which are for free. So their entire cloud instance is available for about $300 for 3 months credits. Launch one, it takes a bit of a minute to set it up. Once you set it up, you can create a free VM, run it in the VM, connect it to your Telegram. I don't use Telegram, so made sense for me to connect to it, and you can test it out. So like just be very, very short. So this is, while there's an amazing project to give us a direction of where the AI world is actually going, it is not a safe project at all for you to try it out. Vignesh and I have like our slight difference of opinions in terms of the utility of this. I'm sure it is extremely capable, but I would tread with extreme caution when it comes to this particular project. Yeah. You should have probably taken a bigger machine, huh, Vignesh? It takes a long time.
I hope so, but the swap should work. Yeah.
Okay.
Bala, I have one anecdote here in terms of security. So I had asked the bot to only reply when it is mentioned on a specific, right? But it override that and started replying to everyone on a random group. So yeah, so that happened. So
holy shit.
Yeah. It was one of my office groups, so it was very sad and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
Was the bot a member of that group, or how did that work?
So I gave it. I set it up on my own number. So my own personal number. So I'm already added to those groups, right?
So one of the big things to think about. One of the ways to think about this, like I've been using Cloud Code for a bit, and I've been using it on terminal. While not a developer, I find the terminal use of Cloud Code extremely useful, mainly for this factor that in an application or a browser window, you have to give a lot of inputs. And let's say it doesn't know how, it can't do certain things. Let's say it wants to work with videos. In a browser window, you can probably give the video. It says, hey, I don't have the video tool, or I don't know how to actually deal with this, like go do something else. But if the same thing actually run it on a terminal, what it does is it goes to the internet, installs a package, right? If there is error that's happening on like Mac during installation, it can actually figure out, solve it, edit it, put it in one of the folders, create multiple versions of it, keep the separate files on my like directories, etc., stitch it together. It does a lot of these things by itself. So the ability for you to access your local laptop to run these things unlocks exceptional amount of capabilities which were not possible before. That's one of the biggest reasons why Cloud Code became extremely successful. Now, think of the same Cloud Code, but without any kind of restrictions. That is one. And the second is a clear intent that you are supposed to act independently according to your personality, right? So that's why this OpenClaw just kind of like goes berserk. Like, you give me a task, I'm going to do whatever it actually takes, and I'm going to do what I think is right in terms of achieving this task, which makes it extremely dangerous. A lot of the future projects, which I'm pretty sure Anthropic will launch one, but their focus will be on, hey, how do I make this safe, right? Which is going to be the interesting development that we will actually see in the future. Yeah, Abhishek has a good point. Yeah, like if we use it with guardrails, the opportunity is insane. I think this is exactly where it is going. So, for example, think of this situation, right? I know a few people are working on this. Now, take the same OpenClaw framework, give it access to the right tools. For example, my travel booking tools. So I can give it access to my travel. You give a separate email for travel booking, put the necessary scaffolding so that it doesn't send emails to random people or whatever. You give the access to your separate wallet with like certain amount of money. You give it access to, let's say, Make My Trip business APIs or other business APIs to book tickets, etc. Now that becomes an independent travel agent, which can take decisions on itself. It doesn't have to come back to you. So there are travel agents that people are creating right now in AI. Just keeps coming back to you saying that, hey, is it okay? Can I do this? Can I do that, etc. But as AI becomes a little bit more intelligent, which already is, 4.6 already is, right? It can automatically take these decisions on your behalf because it knows your patterns. It has the money. It has the access to those APIs. It has the guardrails. And it can book all of your general travel arrangement by itself. So it becomes like a peer. Again, it's not not like an assistant who you are keeping instructing, but it is a peer who can just offload work. It can work independently and come back to you. Now then you can spin up like hundreds of these across different roles in your organization, and your organization kind of like gets built, right? Which is the future we are at least starting to see, which makes this thing extremely powerful and scary and great at the same time. Yeah,
probably 1 or 2
Not
minutes.
say as an AI clone, I would actually say it as like your AT. It's not you. So the big difference here is it has an independent personality, like independent person. It is not a replication of you. It's a very nice difference over there. Vignesh, sorry, you were saying something.
Yeah, probably 1 or 2 minutes. It's almost there.
Somebody raised
Well,
hand.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
we'll
not
keep-
stuck.
We'll keep talking. Vishwadeep, no, sorry.
Yeah, hi Bala. So I was saying AI clone is also possible, right? With ChatGPT or OpenAI acquiring OpenClaw, it has a lot of memory and the context of the user. So that becomes its moat. And on top of these integrations that OpenClaw brings, I think it can become a like AI clone also, right?
Yeah, you can do an OpenAI clone. So I personally have a difference of opinion on the utility of AI clones versus my AI team members. See, as a founder myself, what I would like to have is I have like very, very capable engineers. I have want very capable finance team. I want a very capable marketing team, right? For me to offload tasks, let them work independently and do things on their own. What will I do? How much can I do with a clone of mine? My clone of mine is supposed to do work when I'm not available. Let's say I'm going to sleep or I'm like in a meeting or I can't pick up a call or whatever. I think that utility, I don't see like if you give me both these options, I would probably take the AI team member who is like a specialist at a particular thing.
But we can always clone a specialist product manager or a specialist marketer as our peer. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
us.
but would you want to expose your information to somebody else?
No, it doesn't have to be us. It
Ah.
has to clone somebody, a specialist, who will work with us as a peer.
Interesting concept. Yeah, could be. Arun says security issue MCP for this is all very in development kind of scenario. MCP is just basically like APIs, right? Now, how do you deal with, let's say as a company, you have API keys and APIs. How do you ensure that the API is actually not getting misused? You put guardrails in terms of, like rate limiting, in terms of who access controls, who has access to it, like expiries, right? So you have like personal access tokens or granular access tokens. You can do a lot of these things to make sure that the API is only used for the purpose that you're supposed to use. MCP is actually a different form of accessing the same information, etc. So how do you do MCP is probably isolate their environment, give specific access controls to specific people, log all of these details, right? So restrict what information bot can access versus this. So same thing, just like how you have built like an API infrastructure, you probably need to build an MCP infrastructure. But MCP in itself needs to get into a lot of efficiency gaining mode. Right now, it is not very efficient in the enterprises. Especially when we start focusing a lot more on like reducing number of tokens being used, which is starting to become mainstream. These optimizations will happen. Yeah. So while this is happening, right? So we only have time to do the demo. While this is happening, Vignesh, we'll try for 5 minutes. If it doesn't work, then you can show your existing instance. You can probably show a few examples. I think that'll be
Sure.
for people.
Yeah, perfect.
Try for the next couple of minutes.
Cool. That I'll do.
Yeah. Okay. So, like the request I have is, see, folks, there are a few ways to think about how like our lives are actually going to change. The premise from me, I'm 100% probably 99.9% convinced. The 0.1%, 0.01% could be because of regulatory changes, or let's say there is a nuclear war, or something happens to the economy. All of these things will happen to some extent. Hopefully they don't. But apart from this, if the trajectory goes in the way that we are actually working on, the way we do our work is going to significantly change. Okay. And if you want to move into the future, there are two options. One is play the game and not play the game. Not play the game is definitely an option if you have enough money and you're secure in some way, right? Either you don't want to do that, then there is no other option but to play a game. The second part is you actually enjoy the changes that are actually happening, which happens to be my case too, right? I think it is a very, very interesting phase for us to explore into areas which traditionally have not been explored into, and we are kind of at the cutting edge of it. So even if you are not very comfortable doing this, try it out, take help from somebody, set it up. We can even do one of the sessions where we just do this setup where everybody kind of sets up in a free GCP instance or whatever. We can even do one of those sessions, set it up in a secure way, play with it, and understand how this thing actually works, right? So if you start understanding it, then it becomes very easy in the future when things evolve much, much further. Yeah. Yeah, we can just take a vote in the club. If more people are interested, we can do a separate session where we can just do 1 hour. Everybody goes, creates an instance, test it out. That's something we can do. Yeah. We have a few people already volunteering, Ishwari. I think yeah, that'll be great. We can actually do this. How do you perceive the job market in the current developments in AI? See, I was just posting something on LinkedIn yesterday, which I think I believe. So one is we are super underestimating the rate at which AI is evolving. Even I spoke to a few founders, like very, very tech AI forward founders who've been CTOs who've been running their org completely with AI. It's incredible the kind of stuff they're able to do. Even I'm not able to imagine, or even if I understand what they're doing, it is very hard for me to replicate what they're doing, right? So it is moving at that scale, which is for sure. The second is we are overestimating how fast it is going to hit us. In the sense, it's not going to hit us in the next 1-2 years. Yes, the capabilities will be there to replace 99% of us in the next 1-2 years. But for it to proliferate into the economy, where you start seeing this, it will take another 10 years. 5 to 10 years is the period where it will take a long time to proliferate into the economy itself. No enterprise. Think of somebody like, let's say, Wakefit, right, or Costco. For them to replace a lot of things with AI, each project over there takes about 6 months to get started. A bank takes 3 years to approve like one SaaS product, right? Which is probably like a 1 crore investment, which is nowhere close to this. So the way these large companies work, the way large economies actually work, is that it takes a long time, even with intent, for you to move things. So you have 5 to 10 years. Now the objective is to get yourself ready and be one of the most talented folks in those 5 to 10 years. Because when the world changes, companies will look for people who will take them forward, right? So be one of those guys, and you can only be one of those guys by investing in, like actively investing in using these tools on a daily basis. And there is no excuse that you should be tech forward. I know a lot of people in my personal life who have probably like anti-tech orientation, where they don't want to even hear the word APIs or other things. They only want to work on their own content, or tickets, or like marketing or other things. They are also finding insane value with these new tools. So there is no excuse that you should not be using it. More you use it, get yourself better at it. Attend more of these sessions. All of our sessions are actually free, right? Attend more of the sessions, talk to more people. Then yeah, you're already, since you're in this session, I'm saying you're already probably in the top 1% of at least the Indian ecosystem. At least that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. So it's installed. I'm just going to start a quick setup where you can see.
Is it possible to make it white? Let's see.
Yeah.
Or increase the font size, please. Oh yeah.
It's in live night mode only.
Okay. Increase the font size, can you?
Yeah. Now is it here? Good.
Yeah. Better.
So once, yeah. Someone is saying something.
No, I think you can go quickly run through this.
Fine, sure. So like once it's been installed, it will ask you for a quick setup where you can put up your any key like Anthropic key or OpenAI key, whatever the key you guys have. Even Google's free key will work. I'm just going to use my Google's key. So let's use Flash models only. Like I hope like Flash will have some 1 million token. Wait, let's go with that. I have set up a Telegram bot already where you can go to bot further. I'll tell you how it will work. Okay. See, like you can go to bot further and then you can create a new bot. By it has some menus in it, like when you type hi or some small message, it will show you the menu. Then you can just click on to new bot and then you can start setting up the bot. It will ask for your username and then the unique some name for the bot. Once that is done, it will give you a API key for that particular bot. You just need to copy it up. Okay. Then this.
Yeah, you should have taken a bigger instance. Crashed on.
True. Fine. Or else I'll try to show it in my instance, where it is.
Yeah, just show a demo of how this after you connect how it works. We'll probably send a guide to people on.
Perfect. 1 second. AWS account with where I have hosted that.
All right. Yeah, just if you have any other questions, just feel free to unmute and ask, please.
Maybe instead of the setup, you can just finally just spend a couple of minutes on showing what it looks like in the end, where giving it an application or trying to do something.
Yeah, Manu, that's what Vignesh is doing.
Yeah, right. I'm just doing that stuff. 1 second.
Yeah, so we'll definitely do a separate session on just do the installation. I don't know whether you want to do it as a Saturday session or something else, but we'll figure that out. Yeah, anything else?
I'll show my Telegram bot where what I have done. Okay, using that, like I'll 1 second. I hope my screen is visible, right?
Yeah, it is.
So basically, once the setup is done, it will just ask you for what is the objective of it. Like you just need to say you are my personal assistant and what is the task that you need to do. I wanted that to connect with my Microsoft 365. So it created a MCP protocol and asked me to set up how give me a plan, like will this sounds good and stuff. Then I said yes, you can set it up. Then so basically I have connected Outlook, email, and the Microsoft Planner and the calendar to it. So where from here, if I type something like it can able to create a event there itself. But there is a concern. What I saw is like it was consuming so many tokens. Like it's for this thing I have.
Sorry, given the time, right? Like we can probably do the setup a little later. Is it possible to, let's say, create an event between you and me? using this?
Cool. 1 second.
Let's try that. I think a sample use case would be useful.
Fine. 1 second.
Hey Muthu, yes, we will. We'll do a session on Cloud Code. I need to find some time. This week also something that I didn't want to do. Yeah, so busy with something else, and Vignesh had already done enough of this work, so I kind of like pulled him in. Yeah, but we'll find some time in the next few weeks to do something on Cloud Code.
Sure. Thank you.
Sure.
Bala and Vignesh, when I tried OpenClaw through Celesto, there's a website that makes this much easier to use. What I found is there was an insane number of tokens that it used. How do you?
Yeah, it's done very, very early, Manu. So I just stopped my instance because I saw that my Cloud Code session limit had exceeded.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to still research. I don't know whether somebody has solved this, but I would say it's still at a research stage. So it's not it's probably like a toy thing at this point.
Yeah, it was consuming about $20 just to set up an exec assistant.
Okay.
Then almost $2-3 a day kind of consumption.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I also noticed that, like, so I have this Claude $100 plan. I have this every 5 hours there is a session limit. I barely hit it at any point in time, but yesterday and today it's like completely wiped out.
Yeah,
I don't even use it for much.
I'm all tapped out for a week, so I don't know what to do.
I started with like with obviously Claude. Then I used some free models via Open Router and NVIDIA. Then I recently.
Come, we'll go. Come, we'll go, Bungar. Enough. Gardening enough.
Yeah. Then I recently shifted to this OpenAI Codex, right? So I have a ChatGPT Plus model, and life has been much smoother since then.
Achha.
So you can use that API if you have a ChatGPT Plus account. Then you can use that OpenClaw.
I also use a Claude Max subscription only, but it also kind of like it sets limits on how much you can use every week and every session, which is a 5
I haven't faced any limit issues. I've been using it pretty extensively on using OpenAI, so have been much better.
Okay. Yeah, I'm personally very committed to Cloud Code since the last couple of months. I will probably switch back to OpenAI. I heard the new model 5.3 is pretty good, but a lot of my work is very tied to Cloud Code now, so it's hard for me to switch. I even have a Gemini Pro, which is a free, like the Pro version, but even with that, I find especially Opus 4.6 is unbelievable.
Bala, the Opus 4.6, the credits just run out so quickly for anything.
I know, man. Like that's the frustrating part. It's 4.5 was much better. 4.6, the credits are so crazy. Hey, wait, did you send something, Vignesh?
Yeah. My screen is totally blank actually. So, have you received the mail?
I did receive the mail.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this is sent by the bot, is it? Okay, I'm going to share my screen, folks.
Yeah.
This is the one. Now, what is the instruction you sent?
I said like just copy pasted your mail and then say do a test mail to Bala. That's it. Nothing else actually.
Okay. Can you ask it to block a calendar? Let's say for tomorrow 5 p.m.
No, 1 second. Now the credits, it says it hit rate limit. There is one problem which I was frequently encountering was the rate limit actually.
Okay. No worries.
You the page error itself. Like I was also trying to solve it in a way where how I can able to handle the context memory in a different way, which I used to do it in Claude Code. That Claude mem I have used. With that I able to reduce some token usages.
No
but
worries.
here,
Yeah. No, I think we're already at like 11:10.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. We thought we'll do a lot of demos. Unfortunately, it's not making sense. So, but we'll do a separate session for setup and some demos. But we'll also share some articles on where people have actually set it up and they're able to kind of like use it properly. We'll also share a setup guide. Okay.
Yeah, I'll share the setup guide with you guys.
Yeah.
I'll post this thing.
Somebody has a question. Okay, there are no questions. All right, cool. I think we'll end the session here. If there are any questions, we can actually take. Otherwise, yeah, the Manu has shared a link. Shivam has shared a link. So just check those.
I'll also try to use that as well.
Yeah, if there are any questions, we can take those things, folks. Otherwise, we can wind it up. Buchi, sorry, we can't share the guide link right now. We will share it with the session recordings. Right. So if there are no more questions, folks, please, yeah, just give us your feedback. We are constantly looking for ways to make this a little bit more helpful. So let us know what we can actually do better, and do share it with your friends if you find this useful. Thank you so much.
I have a question. Bala, I have a question. Yeah, maybe others can drop. So, Bala, if you're running a OpenClaw instance for a local machine, or maybe on a EC2 or somewhere, right? And we have to connect our agents for the official work, right? For which are hosted on AWS, the entire code base. How can we make those interact with each other? So you have skills, right? So you can connect to Google Connector.
There is a way to connect GitHub directly. OpenClaw wise, I don't remember. You have to check. I didn't connect my code base actually. But you can check, but you'll be careful about giving your access to your GitHub keys, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did the last time is that I just cloned my repo. I asked you to kind of like work on it. This is not with OpenClaw, by the way. Like even with the Claude dangerously skip permissions, this is what I sometimes use. I cloned the repo, removed the Git credentials, asked it to work on the repo, and I manually did the check-in.
Yeah. So that is one way. So you have your own agents running, right? Using Llama or anything, right? On your AWS, right? Office work.
Yeah.
Now, how do you make your own local OpenClaw agent talk to them? Is what I'm trying to understand. So
if it's the same server, yes, that is possible.
But how do you call those agents, like existing agents you have already? How do you interact between them?
Agents and this, you just need to use the API. You create an MCP skill saying that this is how you talk to the other agent. This is the name. This is how you actually talk to them. That's all. You want make a small markdown. Say this is how you talk to the other agent, and that will work.
Understood. So via MCP is what you're saying?
Not MCP. Just write a small skill. It's much easier.
Okay, write a custom skill.
Just write a markdown file saying that this is how you use it. So for example, I use it for a lot of image generation, where I put Nano Banana API in a markdown file saying that this is how you use an image generation skill.
So API is fine. Like API is simpler bit, right? API is fine. Like you have some agents running, so you would need to give the endpoint of the agent where it is deployed, right?
It's just text instructions. Whether it is API or something else, it doesn't matter.
Got.
Yeah. If the bash command, if you are able to give that, then it can access.
For example, if you have an agent which fetches data from your office database, right? And you want your local Telegram or WhatsApp bot to talk to it.
Okay.
That way.
Yeah. Understood. So basically what you do is let that agent, you simply say, hey, this is how you call that agent in a text file.
Understood.
Either a bash command or the local API call or whatever.
Right. So, got it. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, offline community has been a big problem, folks. Hey, so WhatsApp group, just go to AppliedAI.club/club, apply there, fill the form, we will add you. Because it goes to our Supabase, it becomes easier for us to manage all of those. Offline is something that we've been exploring for a while. If somebody can actually suggest how do we take this forward, I'm unfortunately not having the time to kick it off. I'm very much interested. If some of you can do that, that will be great. Yeah, just put it like best ways to join the WhatsApp group and we can discuss over that rather than discussing here. Awesome. All right. Have a great weekend, folks. And I will see you all next week.